The ground. Hutchinson leaps up and marks. They're going up front. Handball away to Hoff. He gives it away to the young man. Cross, he's caught. What a tackle, Tom Brown. The game-saving tackle.
Welcome back, Tiger fans. Shane here with another episode of Hoops and Football. Alright, today's episode is the review of the Richmond versus West Coast Mother's Day clash. Very good game, 81-79. High intense, probably last 2 minutes, and a goal-saving tackle, as you guys can see from the start of the video. As you can see, a bit of my celebration had me heart going pretty bad. I'll tell you right now, I was running on adrenaline for a good 10-15 minutes after the game. So I just thought I did a little live video after the game just to get up quick emotions, what was going through my head at that time and at that moment. So I thought today we'll probably have a bit more of a breakdown and discuss. I'll go through all the players and I'll probably give out the first 5 players I mentioned will be who I think will be best on ground or who will be in the best award. So I'm going to give my number 1 to Sam Banks straight out. I'm pretty sure that is a career high 28 disposals and a career high 660 metres gained. So he played the Jaden Short role, who was last minute taken off the team, and Kane McCall came in. Jaden Short had apparently a sore knee. I don't know if he's going to be back next week. If he should, you guys can probably actually put in the comments. Do you believe that Jaden Short should come straight back in? Or do we think maybe Jaden Short needs a stint in the VFL and get his confidence going again? And maybe throw him in the middle there just so he gets a bit more touch of the ball. Back to Sam Banks. He had 19 kicks, 9 handballs, 6 marks, and 1 tackle, 2 clearances, and 1 goal assist. So, with his 660 metres gained, so it's probably I would say his best game for the season and for his career, and that's probably what we'd like to see. And I'm kind of not against maybe having Banks off at half back because he's got a lot of dash. Where Jaden Short, I think he's slowing down a fair bit. So, we kind of lost the Rioli going to Gold Coast. Maybe we need to experiment with Sam Banks off that back line. He's ambidextrous, so he will use his left and right foot, and he's pretty good on both of them. So it's a good weapon to have on that background, that running, and he's got some good dash. So we're going to have that dash speed, and he seems to have good endurance where he likes to run for a long time. So Timmy Taranto had 1 goal. I'm loving that Taranto is going forward, kicking goals. Definitely as a midfielder, you definitely need that extra trait in your arsenal to damage, so that when you are actually playing, if they decide to tag you, they've got to realise I can go forward and kick goals. So it's a lot harder for them to control you. 27 disposals. He had 9 kicks, 18 handballs. I would like to see maybe a little less handball. Maybe find a way to even that out. He had 3 marks, 4 tackles. He had 7 clearances. Equals 7 high, actual team high equals 7 clearances and 228 metres gained. So I feel like if you change the ratio to less handballs and more kicks, that ratio, the distance will go up a bit more in the metres gained. I'd give him second best on. I'll go Tommy Lynch. Tom Lynch had 2 goals too. Probably would be hating himself because he missed that easy goal in front. Would have been the sealer. Would have put us up by 7. So. But still had a very good game. He was everywhere. I think he was maybe leading in the score involvement or something like that, but he was probably playing that prime game. I kind of wish he kind of blew it out more. I think with no McGovern he should have, but we still got the win. So he had 17 disposals. He had 10 kicks, 7 handballs, 6 marks. So I was loving that he's getting his mark and his confidence back up with those big pack marks. Probably what we need for him going up against North Melbourne. Probably a bit more of a better defence than it was against West Coast. He had 1 tackle, 261 metres gained, and 2 goal assists. So, kind of back to his old days. He seems to be moving a bit better than he was, and that's what we want from Tommy Lynch. Jacob Hopper was 24 disposals. He had 9 kicks, 15 handballs, 1 mark, 1 tackle, 7 clearances, and 274 metres gained, and 1 goal assist. So, it is good to see that Taranto and Hopper are staying up above near the 25 disposals per game. I feel like when you have a Taranto and Hopper both getting high disposals, we seem to win quite well. So it is definitely something that needs to consistently happen. And it's good to see that Hopper is getting himself back in form. McIntosh was probably up there again. Some people reckon he didn't have the greatest game, but he did quite well, I think, for what he had to do. 19 disposals, 1 behind, 13 kicks. I was at 6 handballs, 4 marks, 4 tackles, so you can see he was getting around the ground, and he also had 389 metres gained, so that's another impressive one for him. I like that. If he gets more hands on ball, we tend to do a lot more better with it. So, Seth Campbell, another freak of a game, 2 goals, 19 disposals. So, I think if Seth Campbell, I know he's going to be inconsistent because he'll have a couple of games where he'll kick 1 or he'll kick none, but he's only like 30 games into his career. He's definitely somebody I think that we need to sign up for a long term because I feel like don't be surprised if Tassie comes and knock on his door for him. The way he's going, I think he's maybe sitting second for the most goals kicked by a small forward. So it is impressive for what he's doing, and I think it's his second year. Yeah, because he won last year's first year best player. So wouldn't be surprised maybe he dies off, or maybe he picks up once he starts to get the rhythm of it because he's had that first pre-season under his belt. So Seth Campbell seems to be starting to fire off, which is what we want as a small forward. He had 9 kicks, 10 disposals, 1 mark, 6 tackles, 2 clearances, and 326 metres gained. So another good game. And then Nick Vlostone had 18 disposals. 11 of them were kicks, 7 handballs, 4 marks, 1 tackle, 221 metres gained. So I think you need a bit more of the metres gained from Nick Vlostone, especially coming out of that back line. And Luke Traynor had 1 behind. And I love these little played possum when he lay on the ground acting like he got pushed and ran on and missed that goal. I so wish he kicked it. I think it would have lit the MCG on fire. It could have been maybe nearly a vote for goal of the year just because he laid down and played possum. So, and they fell for it. He was... Oh, sorry, guys. I think he was punched in that back flank. I'm not sure that we looked at by MRO, or he might get fined for flopping because a few times. But then I don't agree with it because Sicily did it last week as well. So I don't agree with the idea of flopping. If you're going to do it, you're going to make sure you pay it against everyone. So, but yeah, he had 18 disposals. He has got to be getting close to a NAB Rising Star votes because he's probably one of the most consistent draftees this year. So he's played every game. So yeah, he had 18 disposals, 13 kicks, 5 handballs, 3 marks, 2 tackles, and 361 metres gained. So that's a bit more where I would like to see Nick Vlostone coming out that back line. It really tends to help you when your team can get those metres gained running out your back line. But he's also a very good kick, so I can see why his would be a bit higher. Toby Nankervis, he had 1 goal, 18 disposals, 9 kicks, 9 handballs. I like the ratio. 2 marks and 4 tackles. Good to see that he's getting back into the tackles. So we went for a while where he wasn't getting a mark or a tackle. So it's great to see him back to that. He had 37 hitouts. I was a little bit disappointed. I really thought with the West Coast's ruckman, I think it's Flynn, was a lot less experienced than Nank. I really thought that would have been where we would have dominated a bit more in the ruck. So I picked us to win by 24 points. I really thought that the point of difference for us would have been Nankervis in that ruck, going up against a very young, experienced ruckman, and we would have used that as a win in the midfield, and we would dominate in the midfield. But unfortunately, we didn't seem to do that. And that's not taking enough away from West Coast's ruckman. I think it's Flynn. So he obviously did a really good job up against Nank and kind of even the battle, so that we didn't dominate in the ruck. He had 5 clearances, 175 metres gained. Jack Ross had 1 behind, 17 disposals. He had 5 kicks, 12 handballs, 5 marks, 1 tackle, 1 clearance, 167 metres gained. Tom Brown, as we all know, he's probably going to be the the star of this game with his magnificent comeback from chase down tackle. And probably a good lesson for all young guys who want to do those chase down tackles. So the talk of it was the tackle was dead. That chase down tackle was dead because if you don't protect them when you do it. You can't always control them when you're getting from behind and you're diving at them because they might slip and hit their head and knock them out and you're gone for 3 weeks. This was probably the best example you can probably show. When he did get, as he got closer and he got him, he jumped and he was still turning sideways. So Tom, I'm pretty sure it's Gross. He got turned automatically and then he went backwards. So you can turn around and say that he gave the duty of care and he made sure he didn't concuss him. And that is the best tackle I've seen all year. It has to go hands down as the best tackle. And I'm pretty sure it won the top 10 moments for the round. So, bro, magnificent. I know people were saying he at halftime he had a bit of a quiet game and needed to come back. Well, all it takes is one moment. That's all it was. One moment for Tom Brown to show you what he's capable of. And to turn the game on, and get us to win it. So he ended up having the 1-goal, which is good to see goes forward because he's a magnificent kick in front of goal. I'm not against maybe when Josh Kipkis comes back and he's showing his form that he's come back into the senior side. If he's going to go back or Kipkis goes forward, I'm happy to. You can probably switch either of Brown or Josh Kipkis to go forward because they're both great marks, both athletic, and both good kicks outside of goal. So it's a good weapon to have, I think. 16 disposals, 9 kicks, 7 tackles. 9 kicks, 7 handballs, 5 marks, 2 tackles, and he had 324 metres gained. So yet again, I'm going to harp on this because our defence is probably the most senior part of our whole entire core. I know you probably can say the midfield, but we have a lot of young guys trying to go for the midfield. The most senior part is our defence. So I'm going to stick to it. Defence needs to have those high meter gains coming out. We don't have a Rioli where you give him the handball when the pace is gone and he's out. So getting the players to use their hand and using their foot skills to get the ball away is what I want to see more. He had 324 metres gained. So just between Trainer and Bloody Brown, it's about close to 700 metres gained just off their foot. So, which is at one stage is what Jayden Short was doing by himself. So, and that's when we were smashing them. We were winning all the time. So Nathan Broad dislocated his finger. I didn't see the footage because they put the towel around his finger and they popped it back into place. But he came back on and was great. Great again. Never seems to have a bad game, which is, I love it. Just consistently great, and I'm so happy he didn't go to North Melbourne. He had 16 disposals, 8 kicks, 8 handballs, 4 marks, 1 tackle, 247 metres gained. Next one was Noel Bolter, probably a bit quiet, but I think he was on Waterman. I think Waterman kicked 1 goal too, so he did his job. He didn't kind of shine like we normally used to seeing. So Noel Bolter was 16 disposals, and he was the same as Broad, 8 kicks, 8 handballs, 2 marks, 3 tackles, 285 metres gained. Sam Lawler, the battle of the number 1 picks. I actually loved it because I think it was the last quarter. Maybe Harley Reid kicked the goal, and bam, straight away, Sam Lawler was in that midfield, and they weren't actually on each other. But Sam Lawler tackled him, threw him to the ground. Harley Reid didn't like it, so Harley Reid, loves the scuffle. And Sam Lawler went right back at him, and I have to find the clip. And then they're both sitting there just going at each other with the full-on jumpers and shit. So I was loving it. Good. Someone actually biting back at Harley Reid, and I reckon Harley Reid probably loved it. And probably, hopefully, while he was down there, he was whispering, "Hey, come to Richmond." So be good to have Harley Reid and Sam Lawler in the midfield. He had 15 disposals. Probably a little bit quiet, but I love when they put him in the midfield. He still seems to be the player that gets the freaking ball and just 15 touches he had, and I still reckon those 15 touches were probably up there with the most damaging 15 touches there was. So I know people said Harley Reid won because Harley Reid kicked a goal and had 19, but I still think I could probably look at the stats, deep dive into the stats, and probably see that Sam Lawler's touches were a lot more damaging overall. So he had that one massive breakout in the midfield, which I loved it. Come dashing in. Was he about 75 metres out? Almost laced out Tommy Lynch. Tommy Lynch obviously didn't mark it, and then Mansell picked up and kicked a goal and put us back in front. So he had 15 disposals, 7 kicks, 8 handballs. I'm loving that the kicks are coming back up. We've been asking for that for the last couple of weeks. 4 marks, 4 tackles. Had a massive pack mark as well on that bloody far flank. I think it was down West Coast side. 4 clearances, so he's up there with the clearances. 251 metres gained and 1 goal assist. So still a good game from him. Thompson Dow was a sub-off, and we brought in James Trezise. I don't think Dow did anything wrong. I just don't think it was enough to keep himself on there. I think they wanted to bring somebody in who was more fit, robust, and was very good on his left foot as well. He had 14 disposals, 5 kicks, 9 handballs, 2 tackles, and 1 clearance. 115 metres gained, so he's probably a little bit quiet. But I don't think you drop him for this game. I think you can't, if you're not going to drop other players for having a couple of bad games, you can't drop Thompson Dow for 1 bad game. So Ryan Mansell, 2 goals, 1. I said it in my live podcast. When he came back, I think a lot of people were a bit angry at him because he wasn't that same player that he was before he left. I think it was just his match fitness wasn't quite high. He went off for having 3 weeks off straight back into the seniors. So he hadn't had much time to get himself back to being game fit. So I said last week or this week coming into this game that you need to give him a couple of games to build up his fitness and he'll start to shine again. And he did this week. Prime example of giving guys a time to get themselves back to game time fitness. But Ryan Mansell had 13 disposals, 2 goals, 12 disposals, 12 kicks, 1 handball, 3 marks, 3 tackles, and he had 327 metres gained. So it was great to see that probably our best, most experienced small forward shined again, and I'm loving it. Kane McCall, he had two behinds, probably almost kicked that sealer. So freaking close. 12 disposals, 6 kicks, 6 handballs, 1 mark, 6 tackles. So I think he was almost our leading. I think he was our leading tackle player on the ground. And he went before he played this game in the VFL. He had 11. So I don't think he'll come out. He had about something like 65 minutes on the field for his time, which is very, very low. I think maybe it was just to get a bit of his fitness base going, because he was meant to be the sub. Obviously, was short going out. They put him on. I don't think he comes out, because in the first quarter he had 6 disposals. He's up there leading it. So I think they're going to use this as a way to build him up. So build him up into game fitness. And I think he's too much of a bull. He's similar to Jack Graham that loves a tackle, hits the packs hard. He did to Harley Reid in one of the contests as he kicked it, laid out Harley Reid. So I don't think he'll go anywhere. I think he did enough to keep his role and build up from there and give him some more full game. I don't want this sub shit anymore. No more sub for him. Kane McCall, that's it. I've got to say it with his full name, to be the starting on the field the whole time. Jonty Fall didn't kick a goal, still had a good game. He was leading up the pack. Good tackle on the wing on Tom Gross as well. That's on the 6-minute mark, I think it was, and it was a pretty dead even game then. He had 12 disposals. What's that? 5 kicks, 7 handballs, 3 marks, 2 tackles, 248 metres gained. So yeah, it was still a good game for him. Hugo Ralsmith, 1 goal, 1. 10 disposals, 7 kicks, 3 handballs, 6 marks, 2 tackles, and he had, 5 tackles. So he's up there with McCall from the tackles, which is you want. 365 metres gained. So that's quite a fair metres gain of 10 disposals. So in that 10 disposals, and he's got 365 metres gain of 10. So that's definitely what you want to see. Ben Miller did his job. I think he just did everything all right, didn't do anything bad. Hurt his wrist at one stage as well. A lot of the defenders were going down in yesterday's game. He had 10 disposals, 7 kicks, 3 handballs, and just 159 metres gained. So a pretty simple one. Probably just going to chew through these guys pretty quick because we're getting down to the bottom end where they weren't really doing much. So you just kind of pop through them quick. Steely Green, one disposal. One behind, 5 disposals, 4 kicks, 1 mark, 2 tackles, 2 handballs, 127 minutes gain. Like maybe Steely Green is due for a break. He's probably getting a bit tired, so it wouldn't be a bad idea maybe to give him a day off and allow Jasper Alba to come back into the game. And then James Trezise came on as the sub and he had 2 touches. Both of them were handballs and he had 1 clearance, so he didn't get any meters gained. So like overall, it was a pretty good game we won. Disposals we won 352 to 331. We won the kicks. We won handballs inside 50s 54 to 50. So I think that people have been trying to say we need to average about 50 inside 50s to win the game. Look, don't get me wrong. I am happy with 54 inside 50s. I am not happy with our percentage, and I'm pretty sure our percentage was like something like 17% scoring from our inside 50. So that's got to go up to at least 30. It's not enough to. I felt like we started to blaze away. Where in the first quarter, the first 15 minutes of the first quarter, we lowered our eyes where we had previously been being blasted in there. We were lowering our eyes and hitting targets. If we couldn't, we held onto the ball. We didn't waste them. Kind of felt like near the end we kind of reverted back to our ways. That could have just been, West Coast's pressure on us. But I definitely thought we went back to the way we were. Free kicks 22 to 23 their way. So we'll go into the stoppages. This is where I thought we would have dominated a lot more. Obviously, like I was saying, with Nate, a younger ruck going up against a more experienced ruck, but obviously we didn't. We had, hit outs, it was 40 to 38. Clearances was 34 to 35 their way. This is what annoyed me the most. Like I said, we should have won. Centre clearances, it was 9 to 16. So they almost doubled that. Doubled us. Our average is 10, so we were close to our average, and theirs was 10, and they're above theirs. So, it's not enough. They've got theirs by an extra 6. So that's what I think would hurt us near the end when they started to come back and were beating us, is that we were allowing them to get the stoppages. As soon as we went back in that centre, they were off. They would win. So, but we did win stoppage clearances 25 to 19. So, possessions uncontested, we won by 13, 143 to 130. Uncontested, they won 201 to 202. Turnovers, we probably need to clean that up a little bit. Probably not as... Our season is 62. We had 56, and theirs is 62, and they had 65. So it's not overall too bad. We won marks below our season average for marks. I don't think that kind of matters too much because we are playing that fast and slow pace game where we have chaos and control mixed into it, and I reckon that's what it is. Look, I've got no insight into the club, but it's just from what I see, it seems like it's a mix of the D's premiership time when Ooze was there and a bit of Damien Harwick's system of the fast control. So chaos is what Harwick had, was all chaos. Forward hands, move the ball quick, kind of what West Coast was doing to us at the end. Obviously, Mini comes from a Richmond background, so look, it is what it is. But and then we lost tackles, but we were above our average season. Our season average is 49. We had 56, but their season average is 56, and they had 71. So they probably put the pressure on. At one stage, I think for a bit of the game, we were down to 158. That was sitting about at 209. We've got to find a way to balance the pressure acts out. I feel like it's killing us a little bit. We seem to go into a bit of a lull where we'll start off really good, high pressure. At the start of the game, I think it was like 198 to 198. It was really good at the start, and then we just kind of died off here and there. So something I want to clean up a little bit, and I would like to also clean up the 1%ers. Look, the season averages we're doing 32 1%ers. I know 1%ers don't seem like much, but we pretty much only won the game against Carlton off 1%ers. If you watch the Carlton game again, the amount of times that our players would be like a metre away from the ball, we would jump on the ground and slap it with our hands, or we would punch it, or we would try and slide and get a kick out. They go a long way. I think against Carlton, Sam Lawler created like 3 goals off that for other players, just off those, slap the ball and keep the ball going and get it back to us. But we had 39. I'd like to see that up a bit high into the 40, at least 45. They had 52, so it shows you why they probably got back into the game a bit easier. But yeah, so good takeaways. Great goal-saving tackle by Tom Brown. So now we go into... what are we now? We've won 3 games out of 9, so 3 and 6. Everyone said we weren't going to win a game, so obviously, bit of pet peeve of mine. We were told, I think it was 2.5, or 2 games is what they were thinking we're going to get, so we're at 3. I'm going to put up and say I'm sick of this narrative of the wooden spoon game, because the wooden spoon game would be West Coast versus North Melbourne, considering we're sitting 3rd last. I know that was expected for us to be last on the ladder, but I don't like how they're kind of sticking to this wooden spoon game. The wooden spoon game is, to me, who is 17 and who is 18. And now I think we're a game and a half ahead of both of those boys. So game and a half ahead of North Melbourne, and we're 3 games on West Coast. And there's still a fair few games to go, going into the rest of the season. So who knows? We could end up with having 5 wins. We could end up similar to doing what Chris Fagan did when he first started with Brisbane at 2017, I think it was, where he just wanted to average 5 wins for a couple of years, over and over again, get up the percentage on the ladder to show that we are getting progress, we're not getting blown out, and when we do win, we win a decent amount of time. But I feel like with this whole where the spoon against the spoon, that bullshit has to be gone. I think anyone in the social media world can now turn and tell you that Richmond isn't going to be the wooden spoon team, because I feel like if you watch the West Coast games and North Melbourne games, I feel like we put up a better of a 4-quarter effort than they do. Now, I know we have our fades, and we did against this game. I'll definitely say we did against this game. But is it because we're playing a lot of debutants? New rookies is what I should say, not debutants. We had one debutant. Actually, probably a good point. Tom Sims. Well, congratulations on your first game and first goal. Very good game. I know I'm going off point to what I was trying to say, but I'll go back to just quickly Tom Sims just to appreciate him. I think Tom Sims will probably stay in the side because he can do that pinch ruck. Now, he's not going to be the guy that they will put on like Maxi Gorn. I can't remember the North Melbourne's ruckman, but it's definitely a lot better than Samson Ryan, I think, because he seems to lead better, that great mark in that contest. That magnificent low power kick to Tom Lynch, who then passed it on to Seth Campbell, kicked a goal. That's definitely something we're wanting to see. And I'm not tooting horns. They all say, when you draft players, it's like 25% success rate in most clubs on a player. There are certain numbers of draftees. So far, it seems like everyone we've drafted in last year's draft is working out and maybe a long-term player. So that's another promise. Obviously, hope for Jasper Ogers in soon. So, yeah. So back to the Winspoon one. We can probably, I think, we can cut that out. That's gone and done, dusted. We are not a Winspoon team. But I still think we'll end up with pick 2 and 3. Unless West Coast pick up some games. We beat North. Maybe, hopefully, we beat North Melbourne next. This week, actually. Sorry, it's Monday. And West Coast beat them as well. So we can kind of push them down the ladder and West Coast steal a win or so another time. We do verse West Coast again this year. So there is a chance of, do we beat North Melbourne next week and go in 4 and then we beat West Coast again? There's 5. Actually, I'm going to do it now. Let's look up the fixture for Richmond to see who we might be able to beat for the rest of the year, because we're at 3. And we were told we weren't going to get any more than that. We were told 2 was what we're going to get. So, we beat Carlton, we've beaten Gold Coast, and we've beaten West Coast. Nobody thought we were going to beat Gold Coast or Carlton. Some people thought we weren't going to beat West Coast. They were picking West Coast just because West Coast needed that win. I don't think we've lost against West Coast at the MCG, and I think it said 2001. It could be 2001 or 2011. So, who knows. But we've also got North Melbourne next week at the MCG, 1:10 on a Sunday. So that we're all definitely, the odds are saying that we're not going to win. The odds are saying we're $2.46 to $1.55, but you never know. Obviously, this season has proven to people that you bloody never know what's going to happen. So, and then we've got Essendon at the MCG for the Dreamtime game. That game always seems to be a very close game. If you look at the history, there hasn't been too many blowouts in recent time. And that's at the MCG, so you don't know with Essendon. Essendon, right now it says $3.34 to $1.33, but sometimes you didn't know with Essendon. Sometimes they show up and sometimes they don't. So, and they've got a test next week. And then we've got Sydney at the MCG just before our bye. And Sydney is not doing that great either. So, look at out of those next, we've got the Giants the week after the Dreamtime. So they have our next 4. Could we win 2? Could we go in being a 5-win team and be up by 500% over what most people thought, which is a fair chance. We probably could do that. Who do we have after them? Yeah, we've got Essendon again in a couple of games after, and then we've got West Coast over there. We do versus Gold Coast again. I don't like the looks of that. What's going on my screen? Geelong's our last game. We have North Melbourne twice. So we do have North Melbourne twice. Obviously, that one's at Hobart. But could we break even on all of them? If you look at that, even if we were to win against North Melbourne next week and then lose to West Coast and North Melbourne again, that still gives us 4 wins. There's a possibility we can beat Essendon. We versus Essendon twice. We do versus Gold Coast again, so I don't think we're going to beat them again. But look, it is what it is. I definitely am taking that aura of they call us being the wooden spooners, because I don't agree with it. So, alright guys, that's it for this episode. I know I've kind of dragged it out a bit longer than I normally do, but I thought I've kind of had a few of these points going through my head after listening to some other people do reviews and coming into the West Coast game, and everyone just kind of kept going about this wooden spoon versus the wooden spoon competition, or wooden spoon game. It wasn't going to be a good game. It probably ended up being one of the best games of the round, or maybe even the season. I don't agree with that stupid wooden spoon thing. When we're 16th, no. Yeah, 16th. So yeah. All right, guys. Until next time, guys. If you could, actually, before you go, if you could like, subscribe, and leave a comment below what you think. It would help me out, and I really appreciate it. But, alright guys, until next time, stay safe, and don't forget, go Tigers.